Now let's talk about how do we find employment once you're trying to locate a job and increase your opportunities for actually getting into the government. Let's start by usajobs.gov, which is the primary website when jobs are going to be posted in the federal government. If you look at the splash page here, there's a number of things that occur on this page. One of the things I always like to remind people is that when you see the blue button in the middle of the page and it says search for jobs, many people go automatically there and they start searching. But let's talk a little bit about the information that's contained on this page for you. If you look below the blue button, we have some categories. And earlier we talked about folks with disabilities. We talked about veterans. We talked about students. If you put your cursor on these particular little words here, they will automatically link you to sites or pages that will help you with those programs directly. So as you start to figure out, this page is also designed to be an information gateway for you. If you look at the top of the page up there, we have something called the Resource Center. Many times when you are after your answers to many of the questions that you may have, if you go to the Resource Center has lots of information that will provide you tips about building a federal resume. It will offer you things like, I have a degree, not sure what kind of occupation may be good for me in the government. There's a whole list of degrees there that says if this is your particular degree, this is an occupation that may fit very well with your degree in the government. So we encourage you to take a look at many of these categories and use this totally for what it's designed, information gateway, and then start to think about maybe searching for employment, the blue button, okay? One of the things about USA Jobs is if you intend to utilize it, then you should establish an account. And once again, at the top of that splash page, you see a little button that says, sign in, establish an account. Once you establish an account, you get to manage your account, and there's a few things that you can do with your account. One of them is you can build a resume online using the online resume builder. It will give you the opportunity to save 5 total resumes. So I can build online using the template, or I can build my own resume and upload it. And that way you get total of 5 resumes that you can save in the system. Additionally, you can save different documents in there. So things like maybe a separation document, a VA letter, any documents that you need in addition to your resume, you can actually save online here. So when you get to apply, everything will be at your fingertips. You just simply click, attach, apply, and you're ready to go. Because USA Jobs is designed for you to expedite your application online. Some of the other features that you can use as well is, if you see to the right there, you can make your resume searchable. So you have 5 resumes, you can select a resume in there and make it searchable for all of the hiring managers out there who can just look at your skill sets and pluck you directly out of USA Jobs based upon it being searchable. Of course, these are all options for you. Once you do a search in USA Jobs, then you get a synopsis of the list that you actually encounter. So one of the things we encourage you to do is do a search that is going to narrow down your results to its finest. So if you look on the left side here, we have some areas that focus on things like salary. We focus on things like your pay grade. So you can narrow your search down to as little as possible as you need to have so you don't get a broad number of jobs that don't fit necessarily what you're looking for. So once you have the synopsis of the job itself, it only is going to provide you with a limited amount of information. So what you're going to have to do is open it and look at the full announcement. So a full vacancy announcement, as you can see, is composed of 5 tabs. Each tab contains very, very specific and important information. So one of the documents, as we move forward to how you build yourself a better, more effective resume, you should be using the vacancy announcement in order to understand the requirements, in order to understand the qualifications, the experience necessary, and how and what type of information you would need for your resume. So when you apply and the system now gears itself towards the application, you first get a notification through USA Jobs. Remember, we applied online. And so online, you're going to get a notification, application received. That is flagged to you through USA Jobs. The agency is then going to look at your qualifications. They're going to now start to assess how well did you build your resume against that vacancy announcement, against the information that they were looking for. They may conduct what we call additional assessments. The assessments actually feature on something, as an example, let's take typing. Suppose I was applying for a job that required me to be able to type. The agency then might decide, okay, we need to assess you through a typing test. So you would have to take a typing examination in order to qualify for the typing piece. Once you then apply, now it's ranked. Everybody gets ranked in a system, what we call category rating. Under category rating, The first door, remember, was qualifications. I looked at you, we assessed how well qualified you were for this job. In other words, were you in the right line? So it's important to match yourself up, your skills, your experience, your qualifications with the type of job that you're going for based upon your strengths that are in your background. Once they pass that hurdle, we now separate folks into additional groups: well qualified or best qualified. So now the strength of your resume is going to take over this process a little bit. So they're then going to evaluate how well your experience and education is, how well your skill sets are based upon what you have articulated in your resume. For those who make the best qualified group, that is forwarded to the hiring manager, who now has a group of candidates to assess and look at and make determinations on maybe who they would like to interview. So we use the word maybe because it is not necessarily mandated that hiring managers have to do interviews. They will make decisions based upon the grouping, who they would like to speak to, and in many cases, from the entire listing, they're going to select who they feel is going to be the best candidate for them. They interview, they select, and everybody ultimately gets notified of selection or non-selection. Key is to focus your search. Remember, you have to match yourself up against a job that matches the skills, the strengths that you have in your background. So the focus is to search and find the right job first. That's the importance of what we like to call fishing in USA Jobs, to find those jobs that you have the most experience for. Plan ahead. Building a resume takes a little bit of time. So ultimately, when you come down to it, you're going to start to understand that a resume for the federal government requires a lot of more details than normally maybe what you're accustomed to. So the experience, the education, all that is part of what we call the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you need to put into your resume in order for somebody to make a true assessment of how well you are qualified as a candidate. And finally, what we do is follow up on our application. Remember, in USA Jobs, you're going to see the changes as they get updated in USA Jobs. However, there is no specific timeline for that. So you might have been a while watching no changes. So you can actually contact the agency. At the end of every vacancy announcement, there's an office. There's a point of contact. That's who you direct your questions to. So if you haven't seen any changes over a period of time, you just simply call the agency and ask them for an update on the status of your application. They will give you the most current status, and it may not have been updated just in USA Jobs.